Hello, everybody. This is Mark here at Gary's Guitars in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about fake guitars. What do I mean by fake guitars? Air guitars? No, they're real guitars. They're just not what they claim to be. They are often imitations of famous and valuable guitars that are sold for less, and some people willingly buy them, some people accidentally buy them, and it's becoming more prevalent. And then what would talking about fakes be without talking about companies that make their own fakes? And so I'll talk a little bit about that too, in the gray shadow area that exists in that. So, first of all, we have intellectual property rights in the United States, and the kind of thing that it came down to on guitars and copying guitars is you can't copy exact specs, but you can make a guitar that looks like a Fender guitar as long as you're just, a little off, and especially as long as you don't put the Fender logo on it. Now, I think that is where I draw the line when someone misrepresents the fake to be something that is legitimate. And on eBay right now, and the reason this kind of came to my mind so much is on eBay right now, the prevalence of this is astonishing. It used to be that if someone was selling a Gibson, a Chinese Gibson, they would hide the Gibson logo in the photos and do all that kind of stuff. Or they wouldn't put Gibson in the description. But some people are using the name of the product that is being copied in the description. This is this really popped in my mind. I also collect microphones. I do recording, and I love microphones, and I have a large microphone collection. I'm like, well, since guitar prices in the used market are coming down and it's flooded, I wonder about the microphone market. The microphone market was pretty flooded too, and I went on and started seeing these Neumann TLM 103s for $300, and I was like, oh, that must be used, and it turns out they're not used. They're new. And they're not real Neumanns, despite the fact they have the Neumann name on it, despite the fact the listing says Neumann right in the listing. And then I was like, I wonder about, this happens in the guitar world now. And so I looked up a Martin, and I found something that said Martin-like guitar. But if you zoom in, it says CF Martin and Company right on the headstock with that distinct logo. And it's probably made in China, especially for the kind of money they're selling it for. And eBay doesn't seem to mind. Reverb is maybe a little more strict about that because I didn't see as many bald face fakes on Reverb poking around, but they're out there. Now, there are those who say this is a real guitar. If I can play it, it's real, and I just want to have this inexpensive version of a Gibson, and I don't care about Gibson. And I think some of the brands, especially Gibson, kind of ruined their relationship with the customer a little, so that the customer lost respect for the brand. And they'll say, well, if I can play it and it works for me, I don't, first of all, I don't care what it says on the headstock, but second of all, I don't care if it says Gibson. It's not real Gibson, because Gibson is in the business of Gibson's not my friend because they raised their prices. Whatever reason people give. Some people just like, yes, I know it's a fake, and I don't care. I just want a cheap guitar. And we see those guitars, and, it becomes oftentimes we see them because they have problems. Like prop twist in the neck, or things that a guitar that's only 2 years old should not have. The materials quality on these are dubious. And so that's one thing I'll say if you're a Gibson fan or any of these other kind of knockoff guitars you see. Workmanship quality, a lot of it's done by computers anyways. A computer doesn't know what country it's in. It can just spit out the file, and the information is out there enough that workmanship quality, and especially Chinese-made goods, are fine. Your iPhone or your a lot of technology, high-tech, very intricate stuff is made in China, so they can make good stuff in China, and we know it. So, what's happening here? It's becoming too prevalent, and people are buying these things without knowing them. I went actually looking for a Shure SM57 microphone. This actually put me down and I found so many so cheaply. And they said, sure, right on the listing. And I'm like, I know it cost me $80 to get one of these things, and they sell for $99. And that's why I don't sell them. But how can people sell them for $49 on eBay? They're fake. They're not really sure. But they're convincing looking. And I've seen a lot of people kind of, like, ooh, I got this Neumann, the Neumann K, what was it, KM? I think it's it's the mic that's a handheld front address condenser mic from Neumann, the 105. A lot of those around for not a lot of money. Obviously fakes, and like I said, I found those fake 103s that you really have to look closely to see, and then it's like, oh yeah, and are they any good? I don't know. I'm not going to play that game. And it's not that I'm a brand loyalist so much as it's just too risky. When you can find a really good used Les Paul for $1,200 and for $699 a dubious copy, just go for the used one. However, I'll also say about this, like, we see them coming in with problems. The Gibsons, and this is what brings us back to the companies making their own fakes. Because most of the fake Gibsons we see, you take out the pickups or flip them upside down, and they say Epiphone on them. Because the Epiphone pickups are made in China. How they're getting into the fake Gibsons, I don't know. Does Gibson have something to do with this? I'm sure they don't. But they do so much of their sourcing in China that these Gibson branded parts exist, or Asia in general. These Gibson branded parts exist there, and they're getting put on guitars that aren't Gibson. These manufacturers I'm picking on China, but it's oftentimes China. They don't care about anything that's going to make it more likely for them to sell their thing. They'll do it. They have no tradition of copyright because they've been a communist society for so many years where there is no copyright. There's no paying the creator of something for years upon years. So people have lost a little faith in the companies that are making these guitars. And this brings us to our second part of them making their own fakes, which is a Taylor 214 came into the store recently. I don't like to cut too hard on Taylors because they're beloved guitars. The 214 is now made in Mexico. This thing did not feel like a Taylor 214. 214 was a good, sturdy guitar. This guitar had a feel to it that wasn't right and had a incredibly twisted neck. And so this is a Taylor made by Taylor in Mexico. Legitimate guitar that's a copy. It's not as good as the thing they made 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So they are making their own low quality copies of their own guitars to get them down in the price range they need to sell a lot of them. The same thing that the Gibson people are doing. So where's it going to lead to? I think unless there's a crackdown here, and there doesn't seem to be on eBay especially, more and more of this. More fakes. More just them being in the market. Some people just come in and they don't know the fake is a fake, and you got to tell them the fake is a fake, and that sucks. So they're getting more out there, and when people buy, some people buy a fake and upgrade it. That's even worse. So this will happen more and more. Keep an eye out. Especially on eBay. I sell a bunch of stuff on eBay, so I'm not saying eBay is evil, but it's the industry leader in selling, right now, in selling bootleg guitars. So, thanks for watching this video. There's a lot of other videos here on YouTube. Say hi on Instagram and Facebook. Like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that, and it's a thing that the world we live in. Fake guitars, and like and subscribe. And thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.